Hey, hey, it's a grown woman's perspective with Rochelle, and I am Rochelle. I want to say welcome to my channel, especially if this is your first time. If it's not your first time, then welcome back. Thanks for coming back to hear this grown woman's perspective on this week's episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now, before we get started and dig into this, I want to remind you right now to like this video, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel. Now, I also suggest that you hit the notification bell button so you know every single time I upload a new video. There's a lot of good and interesting things hitting the screen, and I want to make sure that you are notified as soon as I review those things. So now that we have gotten that out of the way, let's jump into episode 3 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now, there were a few things that happened, but there were only a couple of things that we really need to dig into this week. And so let me just kind of refer to my notes so we can just take these things in order and just dissect what needs to be dissected. Okay, so we start out with Martell. He's at the store buying some suits with his uncle and father figure, and they're talking about his situation. Now, I remember a couple episodes ago, maybe last episode, that Melodie actually was talking to her mom while she was packing her clothes at the old house before she moved to her new house. And she was saying how the men in Martell's life had kind of encouraged him to know how to cheat better. And I wondered, as I looked at this uncle and he called him his mentor and his father figure, I was like, is this one of the people that was giving him advice on how to cheat better or how to get away with exactly what he was doing? And so I was side-eyeing him the whole time. And he seemed like he was talking right. But then when Martell began to tell him about how the deal, the 47 acres deal, was going to fall through, he said, "Is that because of Mel and the divorce?" Sir, no, it's not because of Mel and the divorce. It's because of Martell. So what they're trying to insinuate is that because Melodie is the one who put it out on social media, that is why things are messed up. Well, let's think about this. If there was nothing for her to put out on social media, then nobody would know about what was going on, right? And the fact that y'all are doing a whole reality show with all of this foolishness and drama, that's how we know. So I'm trying to really understand why both Martell and now his uncle slash mentor slash father figure are trying to place the blame on Melodie Holt for why his mess is out in the open. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Next, we get to see Jaylen and Maurice having a serious man-to-man conversation about the fact that Jaylen wants to be an entrepreneur. He wants to go into real estate, but he's not sure what subsection of real estate he wants to go into. And Maurice is giving him some grown man advice. He's giving him some real entrepreneurial advice, and he's telling him that, look, if you want to do this thing, you got to do it no matter what, whether you're working or not working. You have to make this happen, because the only way that dreams come true is if we absolutely go for our dreams, no questions asked. And so he's teaching Jaylen, and I think Kimmie has done a great job with her son, but Maurice is teaching Jaylen things that really only a father or male mentor could really teach him. He's showing him the way and the path that he needs to take in order to achieve his goal of entrepreneurship. And so he definitely has some work to do, Jaylen does, on his mindset. Mindset is everything. As an entrepreneur, I teach that. My husband and I, we teach that constantly. Mindset is everything. And so Jaylen definitely has some mindset work that he needs to do. But I think that if he stays plugged in with Maurice, then he'll get it together. You know, one of the things that he said that kind of was a turnoff, and that let me know that he is immature as a young man, is he said he wanted to really work with Marsau on the real estate business. And he said, "What's up with your brother?" And that raised a red flag for me because I'm like, oh, you think somebody owes you something. You think just because you told Marsau that you wanted to shadow him or work with him, that it was his job to make that happen. When no, as an entrepreneur, you have to be serious and you have to go for it. And you can't let anything stop you. You can't take no for an answer. And so you can't expect a busy individual to keep coming back trying to pull you up so that you can catch up with them. And so he does have some development that he needs to participate in. And I know that Maurice is going to make sure that he's on point with that. So hopefully he'll stay plugged in and stay open to Maurice, because that boy can go far if he does the right thing. Next, we go into Melodie and Martell. I can tell right now that this season, every single time the two of them get together, it's going to be explosive. There has not been a scene yet with the two of them that has not just like, they just need to have like fire burning in the background, like on Waiting to Exhale or something. It is explosive every single time. And so they sit down to talk about their businesses. They want to see how things are going to be divided and split up in this divorce. Martell thinks that he should get more percentages than Melodie thinks he should get, and vice versa. And so, what I saw though is Martell doing a lot of the talking. He's talking over top of Melodie. He's saying, I think I should get this percentage, and what about this, and I did this, and I'm the one who let you quit your job. And he's just going on and on and on. And she's just kind of like sitting there looking at him, trying to get a word in edgewise. But in my opinion, he's acting like a female. I'm sorry. Now, listen, I'm a woman, so I don't really have a problem saying that, because here's what I know. A lot of times when we as women, we get together with each other, when we get a lot of times just around groups of people, a lot of times we talk. We like to talk. We like to be heard. We like to make sure our opinion is heard. And it doesn't matter if we're talking over top of someone or not. And I felt like that's how he was talking. I mean, from my experience, like real grown men don't do that. They are fully capable of having a dialogue back and forth. And if you look at those types of situations where emotion might get involved, it's usually going to be the woman that gets more emotional than the man. But in this case, Martell was just over the top and like off the hook. I'm like, where is this instability coming from? She was like, okay, well, if you feel like you deserve that much of these companies, then I'll just dissolve them. My Embrace company, I'll dissolve it. And she clicked the button. She's like, done. And he was like, what? You can't just do that? So I thought that was pretty funny. Whether she actually dissolved the company or not, it was funny and entertaining to see him fly off the handle and get upset about that. You see then Melodie begin to cry when he starts to talk about how, I would never do that. I would always make sure you were good financially. You see her start to get emotional. And, it was really interesting to see her get emotional. And then how he began to try to milk the situation. Once he saw her tears, he really began to pour it on. I thought that was very interesting. And I don't know, it just seemed like such female tendencies to me. What do y'all think? I mean, let's let you go. You guys know. We got to talk about this in the comments. I want to know what your thoughts are about Martell in this particular situation with Melodie and in the working out of their business. I really didn't understand why they thought they could sit down and do this without a mediator. Even if it wasn't an attorney, I didn't really understand why they felt like mediation was not necessary. Like they have not been able to have a conversation yet that didn't turn out to be something ugly. But I am happy to report that Martell did finally admit that Melodie did not have an affair. That she did not have an affair. But then some kind of way he began to turn it around again and talk about how she did have some kind of affair, whether it was early on in their marriage or whether it was once they separated or whatever. And she, again, got so angry that she packed up her stuff, left, and he went chasing her outside, talking about, I want to talk about the money that you took out of the account. And he's outside now yelling. And I'm like, I just don't see like grown men doing this. These are things that women a lot of times do. So I'm like really, really baffled by how he's acting. What do you guys think? Talk about it. And then we come to the graduation celebration. Now, this was probably half of the show. And there were a lot of things that happened at the graduation celebration. We were there to celebrate Jaylen because he graduated from college. And then Kimmie also surprised Maurice because he also graduated from law school. And so it was kind of a party for both of them. And this particular party was for their business friends. So basically for the people on the show, right? This wasn't the family party. This was the one for the show. And so, you know, she said, Kimmie let us know that beforehand she asked Melodie if it was okay if she invite Martell. Melodie was like, absolutely. Like, I don't have a problem with that. So you got a chance to see, you know, LaTisha and Marsau come to the party. Melodie was there. And then late came in Martell, and also Momma Wanda decided that she was going to make an appearance some kind of way. LaTisha thought that it was okay for her to invite her mother without getting Kimmie's permission. Now, I'm not sure where they do that. Now, listen, I have had people invite people to my parties at my home, and I don't know them. And I'm telling you right now, as a grown man or a grown woman, that is one of the worst faux pas that you can make. Because the only thing that you do when you do that is you now take yourself off the guest list for the next event. It's inappropriate. It's inconsiderate. You don't know if these other people, maybe the people whose party it is, want that energy around. Maybe this was supposed to be an intimate gathering with certain friends or certain family members. Maybe there was only food for a certain amount of people or seating space for a certain amount of people. Like, you can never take it upon yourself to invite someone else to a party that you're not throwing and you're not paying for. So that was completely inappropriate. Kimmie actually played it really well. She was like, oh, I'm glad you came, even though you weren't invited. I'm glad you made it. You know, you've been around, you know, my son, you've been instrumental in his life as well. And, you know, so tell me in the comments, have you ever had anybody invite someone to your event without asking you first? And here's part 2 to that question. Have you ever had someone bring you to a party where you knew that you specifically were not invited? You were just there tagging along with them, and they say, oh, it's okay. And then you showed up at the party. What kind of vibe did you get from the people whose party it was when they realized, who is this stranger or who is this person we didn't invite here? That's a tricky situation. So before we move on to the last portions of what happened at this graduation party, I want to remind you one more time to go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell button so you can be notified every single time I upload a new video. This is a grown woman's perspective with Rochelle. You don't want to miss a single thing. So go ahead and subscribe now. So, of course, once Martell gets there, it is so clear that Melodie is extremely uncomfortable. She doesn't want to be there with him. She probably doesn't want to be in his presence around these other people. And so after a couple of minutes, she starts putting on her stuff, her mask, and she's like, I'm going to go now. You know, it's time for me to go. I told you I couldn't stay that long. Glad I got a chance to see you, Jaylen. And, you know, she starts to pack up and leave. Now, Destiny walks her out. And then Momma Wanda gets up and she decides that she's going to walk her out as well. She's like, Melodie, I want to talk to you. And so Martell, he must know that it's about to be about him, because he pops up and he goes chasing out there behind the women. Why is he chasing behind the women? And so you hear Momma Wanda say, honey, don't worry about him. Everything is going to be fine. There's better men out here than him. And he comes running up and he's like, if there's better men out here, why don't you find one? And honey, it was on. Martell, you know what? Martell, this was his female episode, because he came out there into the front of that restaurant parking lot area and was acting like a straight bitch. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. This is a grown woman's conversation. And so we're talking grown. Do you agree that he came out there acting like a straight bitch? I mean, who in the world gets in the face of somebody's mother? Like, this woman is old enough to be your mother. You're in this woman's face. You are pointing at her. You are yelling at her. You're following her around when she's trying to walk away. You're trying to break through Destiny, who's standing in between, trying to push you off. She's walking, you're following, just yelling and just carrying on. You won't let her get a word in edgewise, talking about your kids. Bro, please, if she did, this is so inappropriate. I mean, I've not seen anything like this. A man his age, I don't know if I'm going to call him a man or not this week, but I'm going to just give him that. A man his age on this grown mama, fussing and yelling and cussing at her. We have to talk about this in the comments, because this blew my mind. It made no sense. There was nothing about this that was okay to me. And I didn't really have much respect for him anyway, but this was one of those things where if you had respect for him, it just took it all the way down. Ridiculous, unacceptable, ugly, terrible, all of the above. A grown man, not this time, bro. You missed the mark on grown man in this episode. Everything about it was a mess. Miss Wanda told him, she said, "You're acting like a bitch." And he turns to her and says, "And you are one." Even Destiny was like, "No, Martell, like, you cannot say this to somebody's mother." And listen, don't get me wrong. Like, you should not let somebody disrespect you. Like, there's always going to be a line and limit. You know, if you're out and somebody is jumping all up in your face and they are an older person, I'm not suggesting that you allow that to happen. You do what you have to do. But this woman wasn't doing anything to him. He came chasing after her. And even if she did say something about his kids, it don't take all of this, right? This is just someone that you just don't have in your life, because she's not talking to your kids. She didn't do anything to your kids. Even if she did talk about them, you have to really know that it's about you. You are the person that people don't respect. And now in the background, you see Kimmie and LaTisha at the table, and they're talking about how, Miss Wanda showed up. And LaTisha's like, "You didn't have to do her like that." And Kimmie's like, "Look, sis, I'm a grown woman. I did not invite her, but I still welcomed her when I saw her show up. But you invited her without my permission, and that's wrong." So they kind of went back and forth about that. And then she hears the argument. And then she goes out into the front, into the parking lot, to see what is going on. And this was probably the most hilarious thing that I heard on this show this week. We all know that LaTisha is thirsty. She's thirsty for somebody to like her. She's thirsty, for Kimmie to act more like a sister. She wants friends. She's like, "I need Marsau to tell me he loves me more often." Like, we all know that she's needy and she's clingy. And so she asked her mother, she said, "Ma, where are you going?" She said, "I'm going to find Melodie. I want to tell Melodie something." And she says, "But you're not her mother. Let her go." And I just died laughing when I heard that, because I was like, this is just one more thing for her to be jealous about. She's like, nobody is just mine. She wants her mother to herself. And she's like, "You're not her mother. Don't go chasing behind her. Worry about me." I just thought that was hilarious. What did you guys think about that? Did you hear that? Because it was kind of like they played it, but it wasn't like a big thing. And I don't think they were really showing her face when she said it, but I died laughing. Well, guys, listen, this episode, like all of the episodes thus far, was really, really entertaining. There was a lot of pieces, a lot of elements to this thing. But I think the main theme for this week is that we're just getting to see the bitch side of Martell. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I really had high hopes for him. Of course, on social media, we got to kind of see what this season was going to be when we saw Melodie move to Atlanta and the two of them split up, and the social media foolishness that was going on. So we knew where it was headed. But early on, like a couple seasons ago, I really had high hopes for him. I thought that he was going to get it together. I thought that he might, stop seeing the girl. When he started going to the counselor, I was like, he's really trying. He's really, on the right track. But for some reason, he cannot get it together. I don't know if it was, the lack of his father being in his life, or maybe the lack of having a strong father around that was doing the right thing and showing him really, truly how to be a man. In a way, I feel for him. But in another way, it gets to a point where you have to take responsibility for yourself and what you do, your actions and your decisions. And I think that it's time for him to do that. But as always, we definitely want to chop it up in the comments. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think. I want to know how you viewed and how you received this episode this week. And of course, one more time, I want to remind you to like this video and subscribe to this channel. This is a grown woman's perspective, and you definitely don't want to miss a single video. I'll see you next time. Bye.